If you follow me on my social media platforms, you probably saw me asking to submit questions you had in relation to myself, my business, or crocheting in general. So today I wanted to take the time to answer all of your burning questions, and hopefully this will help you get to know me better, help address any questions you have about crocheting or amigurumi specifically, and get to know my business a little bit better. But if you don't know me, my name is Sam and I am the designer behind Squibble's Crochet Corner. On this channel, I talk about all things crocheting, from tips to product recommendations to free patterns. I primarily crochet amigurumi plants, so if that's something you're interested in, definitely make sure to hit the subscribe button, and let's go ahead and jump into today's video. So the first question I received was, what made you decide to start crocheting? So I first started crocheting in 2021 after I attended an art show and saw a vendor with crochet amigurumi. I have been a nurse now for about 7 years, so I was a nurse during COVID during this time, and I was at a point where I was struggling with my mental health and just feeling somewhat down and lonely, just watching TV all the time. So I was honestly looking for an activity that I could do that could help pass the time and give me some sort of purpose. So when I discovered this vendor with crochet amigurumi, I was immediately amazed. I was like, I need to learn everything about this and how you can go from taking a ball of yarn and turning it into something three-dimensional. As soon as I went home from that art show, I immediately started researching crochet amigurumi and wanted to learn how to crochet. It did take me some time to really start to perfect the stitches and get the tension right and everything, but once it finally clicked with me, I was crocheting non-stop. Pretty much all in my free time. So I found that crocheting was an excellent way for me to help maintain good mental health, and it also gave me a sense of purpose. And as I started crocheting more and more, I started to think about selling my creations. I had a bunch of friends and family telling me everything was so cute and they thought that I should sell it. So I did start trying my hand at craft shows, and those went fairly well. So it just kind of expanded from there and into the business that you see today. And really, this is kind of off of the question, but I started designing crochet patterns after I had multiple requests from people at craft shows asking me to design hanging plants, and they thought that they would be amazing. I think hanging plants was maybe a hot thing on social media at the time, so I decided to take on the challenge of designing my first crochet pattern, which was the card hanging plant collection, and it just kind of blew up from there. So yeah, I'm definitely super thankful that I stumbled upon that crochet vendor all those years ago. I really wish I could remember who that person was or what their business was, but unfortunately I did not save a business card. I do still have the original aardvark that I bought from that vendor, which is my first ever crochet amigurumi piece that I ever bought. So I always keep him, and this is just a reminder of where everything started for me and how far I've come in these last couple years. So the next question is, where do you recommend a crochet beginner start? So I personally, when I was a beginner, I started learning on YouTube, just looking up YouTube videos on how to do certain stitches, holding a crochet hook, all of the basics of crocheting. I also purchased a beginner crochet pattern book, which I was pretty gung-ho about trying crochet amigurumi right off the bat. So I purchased Whimsical Stitches by Lauren Epstein, which was a great book for a beginner to crocheter. I highly recommend, if you're looking to try out amigurumi, purchasing this book. It is excellent at walking you through the different stitches, and the patterns are super easy to follow, and most of them are very quick to work up. But I also highly recommend that you pick up a stitch dictionary. I used my stitch dictionary very frequently when I was a beginner, just trying to figure out the stitches, and I honestly still use it today, even with writing my crochet patterns, so it's just something very useful to have on your bookshelf. I will also say it's good to just try different creators on YouTube. Not every creator is going to speak to your learning style specifically. So finding someone that speaks to you and makes the stitches easier for you to follow. Everyone has different techniques and different ways of teaching things. So if one way is not working for you, try a different video and see what works best for you. Definitely don't give up. It takes a while to master the craft. I'm still probably not totally mastered everything. There's still so much out there that I still need to learn. And don't put yourself down. It took me weeks to really feel comfortable holding my crochet hook and crocheting my first amigurumi or even crochet piece. So the next question is, can a beginner start with amigurumi? So we kind of touched on this in the last question. Now, I think you can definitely go for it if that's something you want to do and you feel comfortable with it. Personally, in my opinion, I feel like you should start with something easy, an easy project like a washcloth or a scarf, for example, just to get used to holding your crochet hook and having the correct tension while holding your yarn. I think it's super important to have that down before you even move on to amigurumi. So I didn't necessarily crochet something before amigurumi. I just crocheted a basic square that had no purpose at all, but it was great for me to practice how to hold my crochet hook and get the tension right for my yarn. And yeah, it just helped with me practicing the stitches, just making a square of random stitches just to get used to actually crocheting each of the stitches. But definitely you can go for it. I personally recommend trying something simple first, just getting used to holding your hook and having the correct tension with your yarn. But I will say, when I ended up moving on to amigurumi, I was by no means a master at crocheting. When I moved on to amigurumi, I was still very much a beginner and learning. My very first crochet project that I chose to do in amigurumi was from the Whimsical Stitches book by Lauren Epsey. I tried the jellyfish as my first pattern, and it took me probably about a week to crochet it and a lot of frogging. So definitely don't beat yourself up if you are just struggling with amigurumi at first. It does take time. It took me multiple different items of crocheting different things before I finally felt comfortable with crocheting amigurumi. So definitely give yourself some grace and just keep at it, be patient and dedicated, and continue to learn and grow. And I promise eventually it will click. We already kind of talked about the answer for this next question, but we'll go ahead and address it further. This next question is, what books do you recommend for a beginner to crochet? So we already talked about getting a Stitch Dictionary. We also talked about getting a simple and easy pattern book like Whimsical Stitches. I definitely recommend looking into those two books. I will leave a link down to my Amazon storefront, which has all of my book recommendations listed in my Amazon storefront. So definitely check that out if you're looking for some books to check out. I also did do a YouTube video recently on some of my favorite books that you should check out. So I will leave a link up above if you are interested in viewing that video to get more in-depth reviews of different crochet books that I recommend. But I will say, adding to that list, another book that you may want to check out that I highly recommend for beginners is the Crochet Secrets book by The Naughty Boss. And if you follow The Naughty Boss, you see her post every Tuesday a different crochet tip on her Instagram. This book is compiled all of those secrets into one book. So definitely if you are a beginner, this would be an awesome book to have on your shelves. Even if you're not a beginner, like I'm probably more intermediate level crocheting, and I find this book very useful. It has amazing tips, over 100 different tips. From amigurumi tips to finishing tips, there's so many useful and amazing tips. It's awesome, and you need to add this book to your shelf. This next question is, what is your #1 advice for pattern writing? So I feel like I've probably mentioned this before, but I cannot stress this enough. If you are going to design crochet patterns, you need to hire a tech editor. I know a lot of people think that having pattern testers is enough for making your patterns successful and ready for the general public to use. I cannot stress enough that a tech editor is essential to making sure that your pattern is accurate, stitch counts are correct, grammar and spelling is correct, and so much more to making your pattern become a success once you publish it. It's almost like if you're gonna write a book, you're gonna have someone edit the book before you publish the book. So if you're gonna write a crochet pattern, why would you not have a certified tech editor edit your pattern before you publish it and make it the best that it can be? And writing crochet patterns is definitely not easy if you're someone that's not used to writing in that style. It's not like anything you've ever written before. So tech editors are also great resources for helping you maintain accuracy with the correct language, crochet terminology, all of that jazz, just to make sure that your crochet pattern is the best that it can be. Now, I'm not saying that you don't need pattern testers. You definitely need pattern testers when you are writing crochet patterns. Pattern testers are equally as important as a tech editor. Their role is to make sure that the pattern is readable and that you can work it up and it looks similar to the original design. So you definitely need pattern testers as well, but you also need a tech editor when you are writing crochet patterns. And usually my process is I have my tech editor review my pattern prior to even sending it to my pattern testers, because they help weed out a lot of grammar errors, or if I have terminology incorrect, finding different ways to write things out that makes it more readable. And then you send it to your pattern testers and they can just hopefully solely focus on making sure that the pattern is easy to follow and the result looks similar to the original design. So if you are looking for a tech editor, my tech editor that I use is Sherry from Sweetbird Crochet. I highly recommend her if you are out on the market looking for a tech editor. I will leave a link down to her website below if you are interested in reaching out to her and learning more. This next question is definitely a fun one, and it is, what is my latest yarn obsession? So this is such a hard question just because I love all the yarn out there. I mean, I don't know if there's any yarn that I absolutely hate. Actually, I take that back. Red Heart yarn sometimes ends up on my hate list because it's so scratchy, but we'll not talk about that. We're going to talk about my yarn obsession. So if you crochet any of my crochet patterns, you probably know what yarns I use the most, which is the Hobby Lobby I Love This yarn. And then I also have recently been loving Premier Basic Worsted yarn. Those are two acrylic yarns that I usually prefer working with just because they're so easy to work with. They're very soft for an acrylic yarn. They even have, more so the Hobby Lobby I Love This yarn has a little bit of shine to it, which I like a lot because it just adds a little bit extra to my designs. So usually if I'm going to go for an acrylic yarn, those are going to be the two that I'm going to pick. And then right now, in terms of cotton yarns, I am loving Premier's Cotton Sprout Worsted. I love that cotton yarn. It doesn't even feel like you're working with a cotton yarn. It's so soft. I know some of the cotton yarns out there are super tough and, in my opinion, not easy to work with. This yarn is amazing, and I've worked it up with different garments, and I love the feel of it. Very much obsessed with this yarn, and all of these yarns have amazing colors, so there's a huge selection of different colors as well. So the last question I received was, can you give a sneak peek of the pattern you are working on? So I actually just posted my new design on Instagram recently, but you will be the first to see a sneak peek of the new design, which is the Summer Flowers collection. It is set to be released in July of 2025. So I'm super excited about this pattern. It took a lot of trial and error to get the flowers just right. And yeah, I am super excited about releasing it. It features a sunflower, daisies, and the zinnia. I think the zinnia is probably my favorite and took the most trial and error just to get it right. So I hope that you love these flowers. I absolutely love the bold and bright colors in this pattern that I chose, and especially for the zinnia. I love the color contrast that shows in this flower, and I believe it would be a fantastic accent piece in your home. I know I'm already planning on displaying these somewhere in my home because I'm obsessed with them. So yeah, let me go ahead and show you the flowers. So here we go. We got our sunflower, our daisies, and our zinnia. So just a little behind the scenes about this pattern. Each flower has the front and a back that is crocheted together. The only portion of this pattern that requires any sewing is actually the leaves. So if you are all about low sew patterns, you might want to check this one out. It has 2 leaves for each flower. And then I went a little bit different design for the pot. It has some more texture to it, which I love. I wanted to try something different. Usually I try to do different pots for each of my patterns just to be a little bit more unique, but I love how this pot turned out and how it contrasts well with the flowers. If you can't tell, I'm super excited about this pattern. I can't wait to share it with you all and see how much you love it. If you loved the spring flowers collection and the fall flowers collection, this is a similar pattern to those, so you're definitely going to love this one if you loved either of those two. Definitely check those out if you love crocheting flowers as well. But I had so much fun answering all of your questions. Thank you to everyone that submitted questions. I had so much fun answering them and hearing what you guys wanted to know about me, my business, and crocheting. So if you do have any other questions, if you missed the post asking for questions, feel free to leave your questions down in the comments below and I will answer them in the comments. But definitely make sure to subscribe to my channel and especially my email list if you want to stay updated on the Summer Flowers crochet pattern release. But thank you so much for taking the time to stop by my channel and watch my video. I love having you all here and hearing your feedback and all the comments you have on my posts. I just love interacting with everyone. So thank you for taking the time to come visit with me, and I hope that you guys all have a great week. And as always, happy crocheting. Bye, everyone.